Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today I've got the second episode of my podcast with Fins17. Fins, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing solid. So, as you can see, the name of the podcast has changed. When I did the last one, which was 154 days ago with Beast, it was called The Jam Show. I have changed the name to The Rant, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot of ranting on this, and hopefully I'll be able to do a lot more episodes in the future. But I'm not going to set an expectation because it has been 154 days since the last one. So let's aim for less than 154 days for the next one. So I got a bunch of topics on the NFL, on Madden Mobile, and we're going to talk about them. And yeah, so let's get right into it. First thing we're going to talk about is some Madden Mobile stuff. And the first topic is glitches. There's been a bunch of glitches in the game. I personally don't remember a ton of them. I was reminded by a few earlier today. And we'll take a look at some pictures I got of those. But Finns, why don't you go first and talk about your thoughts on some of the glitches and things that have happened kind of on the negative side of Madden Mobile this year?
So I actually got to participate in one of the glitches. It's one of the more like well-known ones. It was the Buckner glitch that absolutely tore, it was at the beginning of the game, so it like absolutely brought the price of elite players down. It pretty much ruined the game. But as for the other glitches, simply they ruined the price of coins at the time. And EA hasn't really done much to compensate people, and they've even gone as far as to ban people for a glitch that was their fault. So I don't agree with it. It has brought the game down, I have to admit, but it provides an unfair advantage to those who participate. And us, the honest players most of the time are left with nothing. So they need to do a better job at managing those.
Yeah, it's always an issue, and one of the ones that I was reminded of today was the one with the Martin Lane collectible where you were able to trade in for a ton of 85 overalls. That one crashed the market, and that seems to be a common thread with a lot of the glitches is the impact on the auction house. Another one that I remember which didn't have that same kind of impact as much was where you were supposed to get, I don't remember which, but a will-o-wisp or a whale-o-wisp, and you didn't get the right one if you played a live event in the first few minutes. That one was a little more simple, but all of these little things are just, I feel like, annoying. One thing I thought of, though, is how it compares to MM15. I know a lot of people say that their favorite year of MM was MM15, and one of their reasons for that, that I hear a lot, is because it was kind of more of a free-for-all. There were a lot of glitches. EA was messing up a lot, and it made the game fun, but it doesn't seem like it's like that anymore. It's just annoying and ruining the game.
I agree with what you're saying, but you have to admit how much the game has changed. Now it's more of a free to play versus pay to win approach. Maybe like MM15, there were players that, bought cash, bought bundles, bought packs. But I think that, now that the game has been kind of separated between those two groups, like these glitches just make it awful for the pay to win players because they pay money to get this stuff while the free to play players can just exploit glitches like
Right.
these.
That's completely true, and it feels weird saying that. Like you, in a way, you feel bad for the pay to win players when most of the time we're kind of trashing them. And to be honest, if we didn't have pay to win players, like where would Madden Mobile be? Because like if EA is not getting money for the game, like I mean, what's gonna happen? Would we even have the game? I don't know. You have anything else to say there?
I just hope, that there's no more glitches. EA's learned their lesson and players don't, get banned for stuff like this. Honestly, a couple small glitches here and there wouldn't hurt anyone.
Usually no, but I mean they've had some big impacts this year. Hopefully no more. Hopefully. So second thing about MM to talk about, kind of three topics, and the last two kind of are similar. More of a question and a prediction for Madden Max. Obviously, we had Madden Max in the game last year where you could get any 100 overall Onyx player to 105, and all of their stats would go to the max of 99. This year, I think they've said that they're not going to have it, but I don't think that they predicted that they were going to have it last year. So, quick question: do you think they're going to have Max?
I do think they're gonna have Madden Max. Because of two things. Last year, obviously, what happened. They had to, make some adjustments to the game. Had to make more of a grind aspect at the time because think about how hard they were to get last year. We are gonna have Onyxes because if you look on the auction house and you go to tier when you search, there is an Onyx tier. So I do think there is gonna be, that for Madden Max. Also because last year, we had Adamax, and this year the overall in power where we're headed, the Masters already have like what 120, 140, something 180 power, I think. And we already have 98 overalls. We're bound to have hundreds by the next Team of the Year Super Bowl. So the way the game is trending, there is no way we just stop at 100 overall or 99 overall wherever we stop for the rest of the year. There's just absolutely no way.
I think that makes sense. I mean, I'm surprised that you say that there will be max. I don't think that there will be max, but I honestly have no clue. I hope that it's not in the game. I think the main thing with it is that it turned the game into the, predicating which card was better off of physical attributes, meaning how tall is the player and what's their weight. And I feel like that's probably not what it should be. You shouldn't have a Tom Brady being as fast as a Russell Wilson card, and you shouldn't be picking, a Brady over a Breeze just because of their height. That just doesn't seem right. But if we do, I mean, you're completely correct about how overalls are trending right now, and the power too. We are on a fast track to the max of last year. But if we're not going to have max, there's pretty much two ways out of it, and that's either taking whatever cap there might be off of overall or power or both. Do you think that's going to happen? I feel like that's what we saw kind of in MM18, where there wasn't a cap on overall. It went all the way up to like you could get players to like 130 overall or something when they were on your team. Do you think we'll get that again? Will we go over 100 overall, or is it just going to be max?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be max, to be honest. Madden Mobile 18 was a really fun year, but obviously we started with, the Madden Master, whatever it was, Tom Brady, which is already 100 overall. So you kind of knew that we were not going to stop at 99 that year, especially with training. This year, we don't have training. We only have
True.
Evo.
Right.
So
Would we get Evo cards? Would we get 99 or 100 overall cards that you can Evo up, two overalls?
I think they're gonna follow the same approach as last year, to be honest, and just stop the evoing at 100. But this year, because it's different, because you can only evo up one, you can only evo like a 92 to a 94. You can't go all the way to
Right.
100. So when we do get 98 evos, I think it's just gonna stop at 100, to be honest.
That's interesting. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. I've heard from people, not from EA, but I've heard from people saying that EA has said that they're not going to do max this year. I don't trust them. I'll say that. But if they do go with that, do you see any way that the game can, I guess, survive and still, I guess, be healthy, if that makes sense, without having max and without going over 100 overall or a certain amount of power?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Like,
I personally hope we do not get Madden Max because it ruined the game last year pretty much because we went from Madden Max to the actual Masters of Promos being 105 overalls.
right,
So yeah.
right. Weird situation. Mad Mobile, it's in a precarious state
Oh
right
yeah.
now, I guess. I mean, we hope stuff gets better, but it doesn't, the way it's going, it doesn't look good. Any
Game is
other,
trending.
go ahead.
I said the game is definitely trending downwards, and obviously it's been
Yeah.
since the start of the year. So
Any other thoughts on comments or whatever on MM before we head to the NFL?
let's talk some NFL.
NFL talk. So, first thing I want to talk about here is with your team, the Dolphins. I was going to come on here and basically just trash them every single second of this for not making the playoffs, but I'm not going to do that. But we are going to talk about the quarterback situation and in relation to the Texans with Deshaun Watson, Tua Tagovailoa, you're obviously the guy who's followed the Dolphins. So is Tua good enough? Is he going to be the franchise guy? Do you want Watson? What do you think a trade would look like? Do you want a trade? All you.
I'm so happy you brought this topic up because a ton of people are asking. Listen, let's go back to Josh Allen's rookie season. I mean, he did not have a good year. The Bills went what, like 5-11, 6-10,
I
something
mean,
like
he had
that.
2 years that
Uh,
weren't great, right?
no, he had. I think it was just his rookie year.
Or
Next year they made the playoffs. Yeah.
that's true.
So
That's
he
true.
had
That's true.
a who actually had a better statistical year that rookie year than Allen. But no one has given up. No one gave up on Josh Allen. They built around him. They signed some key free agents, to help him out. Cole Beasley, and then last year they brought in Stephon Diggs. And now look at the Bills. They're Super Bowl contenders. They're one game away from the big game.
They are in the top
So
four. They're in the final four.
exactly,
Like,
exactly. So Tua, he led us to 10-6. So we were one game away from the playoffs. And think about it. If we got Deshaun Watson, we would have to give up probably 2 first-round picks, maybe even 3. We'd have to give up Tua. And then we'd still have the same receiving core as last year, the same offensive line. We can't really make some big improvements. We can't really make any more big trades. Watson probably make us a playoff contender, but that's about it in my eyes.
yeah, would you say? I mean, it should be an obvious answer, but I want to make sure. Do you think Watson is better than Tua?
Oh, eons. Watson is way better than Tua, and that's
Eons.
why that's why we'd have to give up a ton to get Watson because he's that valuable. He almost had an MVP caliber year with the Texans,
I mean,
but because the Texans were just
yeah,
awful this year, no one actually is
it
talking about
was.
it. So
I mean, he really did. It's just he almost did. I'm not going to say he was better than Rodgers statistically because he wasn't. I don't think anybody was. But he was very close. He was in the conversation if team success wasn't really a factor. But it is. His team sucked, and that sucks. But, I mean, it seems like I don't know if mantra is the right word, but the kind of mantra is get a guy, stick with your guy, and build around him. And I guess my only question is Tua that guy?
Tua can be that guy, in my eyes. He already has good chemistry with everyone on our team. They all love Tua. As long as we just surround him with the right talent to help him succeed, just like again, the Bills did with Josh Allen, I think we could seriously be playoff contenders because we do have a lot of young talent. As long as we just continue to build around them, I think Tua can be that guy, just like Deshaun Watson, and it's inevitable.
What positions do you guys need? Is it on offense or is there elsewhere
Oh
where you need
yeah.
help?
So 3 of our offensive linemen this year were rookies as well. Obviously, we were trying to rebuild the offensive line. Kinley was solid. We definitely need more offensive linemen because we had a lot of injuries there as well this season. Austin Jackson couldn't stay healthy. We also need some wide receivers. Gesicki and our tight ends are great. I love Shaheen, Gesicki, Durham Smythe. But Parker had a very bad year. He and Tua could just never find a connection. So we need a guy like Marvin Jones to come in and absolutely, form some chemistry with Tua. We need Jamar Chase or maybe even Devontae Smith in the draft to,
Y'all have the
improve our
third
core
pick,
because
right?
we have the third pick. And the question is, do we trade down and maybe draft Waddle, or do we stay and take a chance on Smith? That's the
Yeah.
question.
Is
Or do
he?
we draft Benai?
You take a wide receiver at 3. That's a. I mean, it's a big question.
I mean, I don't think so, to be honest. There's a lot of good wide receivers in this draft. We're absolutely stacked at quarterback and wide receiver. I think if we trade down, give a team that really, really needs like Justin Fields or, someone, because I think the Jets are going to go with Panay Sewell. So we could draft, we could draft like Waddle again with like a mid-round pick. I think he's still going to be available. But I don't see really, even if he's the Heisman or everything, 3 is way too high for Devontae Smith in my eyes.
Yeah, and you have the 18th too, right?
Yep.
So, that's. I mean, that's a good bit of draft capital to work with. See what you can do with it. Hopefully, I'm rooting for the Dolphins because of you. I generally root for the Dolphins. I'd say, as long as they're not playing, a team I care about. But I hope things work out. I mean, I hope things work out in the draft because I mean, a lot of times it's just a crapshoot, and I feel like the Packers got lucky
Yeah.
with Jair. They got really lucky with Rashawn Gary, who's turning into a good player. Obviously, I
Mhm.
mean, Rodgers I mean, that's just stupid, and then we just turn into complete idiots and draft another quarterback last year. Hey,
Oh my
Jordan
God.
Love, nothing against you, but we don't need you right now. Um, that's that. I think on to the next thing is about the head coaching situation in the NFL. There's obviously a ton of openings. They are the Chargers, Jags, Jets, Lions, Falcons, Eagles, and Texans. I think that's pretty much in order of most appealing to least appealing, and two of those have been filled. Urban Meyer got hired by the Jags, and Robert Saleh, the Niners defensive coordinator, is now the head coach of the Jets. Um, I don't really have any general thoughts, I think, about the head coaching situation, but there is one kind of question that I think is interesting. But do you have any general thoughts or anything like that?
Yeah, I just have one, and it's that most of these teams that you mentioned, they hired like this offensive, guy that, comes in and they expect, big things from him. The defense struggles. Like, I'll give you an example, like Anthony Lynn. Like, he's a great offensive coordinator. He could be great somewhere else. Those guys are just not meant to be head coach. So I guess those firings were good, but you also got to look at
Mm.
it from, defensive coaches like Flores. I'm not sure. Was LaFleur a defensive coach?
No, he was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee. And speaking of that, the Tennessee offensive coordinator currently, who's been there for the last 2 years, he's doing interviews for a head coaching position. So
Hmm.
maybe Tennessee's the spot to go to. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, most of these times, like Adam Gase, obviously, with the Dolphins and the Jets, he was just a complete failure, pretty much. He took our Dolphins team in 2017. We fought hard that year, but we could have been so much better, to be honest with you.
So my question, and I've never really paid attention to it a ton, head coaching hires and who's left and where they've gone and stuff like that. I've never really paid really close attention to it. But my question is, and I'm going to use Sala as the example here because he's the most current case. He leaves San Francisco as the defensive coordinator. My question is, will that defense get worse or will it stay the same? Will it get better? What will be the impact on the side of the ball that this guy left? And for everybody else, if the offensive coordinator in Tennessee leaves and goes somewhere, is the Tennessee offense going to suffer? Is there a correlation there? Do you think that that happens? Anything like that?
So the Jets signing is interesting because if you think about the system the 49ers have built, they could take any player and make them relevant, which reminds you of another team, the Patriots. We didn't know about some of these guys. They signed a lot of key free agents. They had a really, really stacked team. But Salah was a great signing. That defense can only get better from, that all-out blitz against the Raiders. It
Well, I
can only
mean,
get better. He hired Greg Williams, I believe, right?
I'm not sure.
So yeah. So I think Salah is a great signing. He can definitely go in and improve that defense as long as they get some key free agents. But it's gonna be like a Flores type of signing because you bring in a defensive mind from a system, and then it's gonna be a slow rebuild kind of. But getting a 49ers guy, who made that defense look really good, except in the Super Bowl.
I mean, it still didn't
Great
look.
signing.
I wouldn't say they looked awful in the Super Bowl, but they didn't win, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's not good. But yeah, I think that's just an interesting correlation that there may be. Again, I've never really paid attention to it, but I think I will. Seeing Salah leave and anybody else who leaves, maybe if the Tennessee offensive coordinator goes somewhere, I think there's an assistant coach for New Orleans who is likely to get hired in Detroit as the head coach there. But I think it's interesting to think about, if where they're leaving suffers. I know for me, the Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett has been in conversations about possibly doing interviews and going and being a head coach somewhere. I wouldn't want him to leave because of the success we've had on offense. But I mean, the question would be, if he does leave, would our offense be worse or would it be the same or better? I really don't know. But I'm gonna pay attention to that. I'm gonna see. Maybe in another 150 days there'll be something more to talk about. But that's that's pretty much it for that topic. And the next thing is more into the current NFL stuff that's going on, the playoffs, and who's still here, and who's moving on. So we just had this weekend divisional round. The Chiefs, Bills, Bucks, and Packers won. That's the final four. And I guess starting with thoughts on this past round, I'm surprised by the Bucks game. I didn't expect. I think the main thing, I didn't expect Drew Brees to throw what it was 3 interceptions.
Yeah, 3.
Didn't expect that. And I also didn't expect the Ravens to put up 3 points against a Bills defense that isn't really known to be a really, really good defense. They're obviously solid. They're in the top 4 teams in the league. That you have to have a solid defense for that. But I didn't expect that. And then other 2 things I would mention are Mahomes going down. I hope he's okay, and I have no clue if he's going to be back. But that's obviously massive for the Chiefs. And then Drew Brees for the Saints. It might have been his last game. What thoughts do you have on the divisional round?
So you just named the 2 games that actually really surprised me. I knew the Packers were going to beat the Rams. I knew the Chiefs were going to find a way to beat the Browns. The Bills shutting down the Ravens was interesting. Lamar was, not a factor in that game. Obviously, he went out late.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't think there was any chance for them. Those Bills fans are wild. So the stadium was obviously loud for the Ravens.
Yeah.
The Bucks game was probably the biggest surprise because they went a long way from being blown out 38-3 in that
Yeah.
game. Yeah, and that went into this game, the Saints were basically their bullies, and then they won off obviously because Michael Thomas had 0 yards.
Yeah.
Brees threw 3 picks. Just not an overall good day for the Saints. And it was sad to see Brees, play his last game, but Bucks definitely did surprise me. I think they're going to give the Packers a little bit of trouble, but we'll have to see.
I think they will too, and we can talk about. I do want to mention. Just about Drew. He's one of my favorite players. Not super favorite like Rodgers, but especially outside of the Packers, one of those guys that I've always liked. And seeing the picture that I'm showing here of him looking back into the dome as he's walking out, knowing that might have been his last game. When I saw that live, I was on the verge of almost getting teary eyed. It's sad to see someone like that go. I don't know if he is going. He said he's going to take some time, but I hope he doesn't. Also, I'm just going to throw this in here. Brees is 5-4 or 5-3 against Brady in his career. So Brees over Brady. But on to the playoffs and what we've got left in the Final Four. You said it, and I'm in complete agreement. The Bucks are going to give the Packers some trouble. The first matchup, it was pretty much all about the Bucks front 7. They have possibly the best front 7 in the league. I really don't know any other team that would compete with them, and they just blitzed basically every play. After the first quarter in the game earlier this year, they just blitzed, and Packers didn't have an answer, and I am scared. I don't know what we're gonna do. Do you have any ideas of what the Packers should do to win that game? Because I don't. I'm low on the hope.
So, like we mentioned, the Saints-Bucks game, 38-3 in the regular season. It looked like the Saints were going to destroy the Bucks again after that first quarter. It's a long way from getting blown out in a game, and then, it's different when it's a playoff game, especially this time in Lambeau. Packers have home field advantage. They have the fans. They have the noise, everything. That the fans actually played a huge part. Rodgers said, I think they were unbelievable in that game against the Rams.
I think it has the same. I think it probably had the same sort of effect that you would get in the first game of the year when you go from just practices and just normal stuff into boom, you're in your stadium, 80,000 people all cheering for you. I think it had a similar effect having like not going from nobody or like 500 people all the way to 9,000. I feel like it had a similar effect as kind of just the first game of the year. So I think that was big, and I don't know if we're getting any more than like 9,000 for the championship game, but it's going to be around there. Um, but another thing I've been thinking the past couple of days, and by that I mean today, is last year, the Packers obviously got crushed by the Niners in the regular season, and then they met up again in the conference championship in the playoffs at the Niners, and the Packers got crushed again. This year, though, it seems like the same exact thing, the same exact setup, except we're the number one seed and we're at home. So I don't know. I mean, and I was saying, you for the Bucks and Saints won 38-3. That doesn't happen for no reason. The Saints are way better. The Saints are going to win. That's what I was saying. But I mean, you see what the Bucks did and how poorly the Saints played. I don't know if that's going to happen to Brees and the Bucks, or not Brees and the Bucks. What's his name? Brady? Forget his name. He's so irrelevant. I forget his name. I don't know. Is there any way that Brady has a bad game, or I mean, does he turn the ball over? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
So I think I watched the Packers Rams game, and Rodgers was like he had the most protection in the world. Basically
True.
had all day to throw the football, and that's really what contributed to their success. When I look at the Bucks and their offensive line, it's not the same effect. So if the Packers can bring pressure constantly, just like what the Bucks were doing to them, Brady has a chance to have a really bad game. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's been off recently. I don't know what it
Mm.
is. Mike Evans, he hasn't really been a factor either. So if they can limit Brady and do basically what the Saints did to them in the regular season matchup, they have an insane chance to beat the Bucks. That's what I think.
I mean, I know we have a chance, but I'm not super confident. I think the Bucks. I mean, front seven is a big deal, and I'm I'm scared of it. But I think you bring up a good point about the Packers defense facing the Bucks offense. I'm pretty sure they're second in the league in passing. Um, so the other thing I'll mention is, I think from it was week 6, I think the first matchup until now, I think two players on the Packers defense have definitely gotten better. Mainly Rashawn Gary, defensive end, but also Preston Smith. He's been awful this year. Preston, I love you, but you have not done well this year. Haven't put up the numbers that you did last year. I don't know what's up with that, but he's been playing better past few games. And Rashawn Gary, I think, has improved a lot, and we're a lot different team than we were early in the year. But I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm scared. Um, I'm scared about that matchup, but I hope you're not scared to go out right here and set in stone, get it recorded and on the internet for everyone to see your picks for the championship weekend and the Super Bowl. What do you got?
All right. So let's start with the AFC. Let's just get that out of the way. We got Chiefs, Bills. It's going to be in Kansas City. Obviously going to be loud. Josh Allen, I love the way he plays. I like the way, the Bills play, even though they're rivals and everything. But he is still a young quarterback, and I think that the Chiefs are somehow going to eke a win away even if Mahomes doesn't play. I mean, if you look at the weapons that Chad Henne has to work with, even if he has an absolute terrible game, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, I don't see the Bills beating the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yes.
Even with Chad Henne,
Even with Chad
a
Henne,
literal
trust me,
Chad out on the field.
trust me as a Dolphins fan, I know Chad Henne.
All
But
right.
with the weapons that the Chiefs have, even last season with Matt Moore, again, as a Dolphins fan, I know Matt Moore. Even with him, they had a good winning record. That system that Andy Reid has, with all these good players,
Lost
I
to the
think they're
Packers.
going to win.
Lost to the Packers.
So, Packers Bucks. As I said, the Bucks have a chance to give the Packers a little bit of trouble. In Lambeau, there is zero chance that Brady wins. I think it's not going to be a blowout. It's not going to be think it's going to be a super, it's going to be like a one possession game till the end. I have Rodgers winning that one because I just think that Bucks secondary is one of their weaknesses as well. And Devontae Adams, oh my gosh, the year he's been having, I think that that's going to be enough for them. I got the Packers versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
That's definitely interesting. Interesting point you bring up about Devontae and the maybe not so great Bucks secondary, but I wonder how the heck do you get him the ball when with the front seven that the Bucks have, and if they're blitzing, how do you get in the ball? Because it definitely didn't work in the first matchup, whatever we were trying to do. So I can only hope that what we're doing is better. I would go with the same picks as you just did, but I would add a caveat in the AFC with Mahomes. I think if they're without Mahomes, I don't see the Bills losing to the Chiefs. I mean, as you said, they still have Hill, they still have Kelsey, they still have Matthew on defense, they still have really good players, but it just seems that Mahomes is just really important to their success. I mean, Chad Henne came in, I think his very first pass was an interception. I mean, he's not as good as Mahomes, and I mean, you saw how close they played the Browns. I don't see the Bills losing that game if the Chiefs don't have Mahomes, but I don't know. We'll see what Chad can do.
It's going to be interesting to hear.
Definitely. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I'm just sad because Breeze is obviously gone. We talked about it a little bit. I really started picking up on the NFL in like around 2013, 2014 because honestly I wasn't really interested before that. And seeing guys, I actually saw Drew Brees. He was like 5 feet away from me in a hotel in Tampa.
Damn.
He did give me an autograph, which I still hold a grudge for. But
Did you ask?
yeah.
Oh my God, Drew Brees. Drew Brees is the worst player ever. This guy is a terrible teammate. He does not give autographs to fans in 2014 or 13 or whatever year it was when he's in a hotel 5 feet away from Fin 17. This guy is despicable. This is just honestly terrible behavior here. But I love him still. Anyway, you were saying?
So guys like Drew Brees, Fitz, looking and watching the NFL in those seasons, it really defined it for me. Like, I can't think of the NFL without Drew Brees, without Larry Fitzgerald, without Big Ben if he's gone. You know what I mean? Or without even Brady, Rodgers. It's just gonna be hard to watch people like that go. But Brees, looking back, it just brought like an emotion that, like, I don't know, I haven't felt in a while because Drew Brees is like one of the biggest influences in the NFL. So
Definitely.
I don't know, man. I'm sad to see him go.
I'm sad with that. He's not even on my team. I remember, pretty much last year, or I guess 2 years ago, I'm a massive San Francisco Giants fan. Bruce Bochy, the manager there, he retired, and I was super, super sad when that happened. So, even in the NFL, like a sport that I follow more than the MLB, I can't imagine what it would be like, what it is going to be like, because it's going to happen someday. Rodgers is going to leave. He's either going to retire, he's going to go to another team, if we're going to start Jordan Love. I can't imagine what that would be like. Have the Dolphins had a guy like that? Do you think they have a guy right now that'll end up being like that?
As in like a
Roethlisberger or a Breeze, or even honestly like a Phillip Rivers, even just a guy who's really good for a really long time, and he is your franchise, and then he's just gone. He leaves the team. Do you think there's a guy like that, or?
I think Tua has a chance to be that guy as long as he can stay healthy and we surround him. But honestly, I do not see Tua being like our Aaron Rodgers or our Drew Brees being around there for 10 plus years.
You never know.
Exactly.
Rodgers sat on the bench for 3 years, so I don't know.
Exactly.
Hey, take your picks, but Aaron Rodgers was able to watch Brett Favre. Tua is getting to work with Ryan Fitzmagic. So, those are two really good quarterbacks there. So, we'll see. I don't really got anything else. You have anything else to say?
Uh, really for this weekend, go Pack Go, and let's go Chiefs.
All right.
And that's pretty much
I'm
it.
definitely probably rooting against the Chiefs because one, I don't want to play them, and two, generally don't like them just because they're good and they win,
Yeah.
pretty much. But that's just me kind of being salty. But obviously, go Pack Go. Love hearing that. Thank you so much for coming on the rant with me. This has been a super long episode. If there's anybody who has watched this entire thing, thank you. Like, you're awesome. Obviously, go check out Finn's channel. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. If you don't know him, you need to know him. But yeah, thank you so much for being on. That's the rant, episode 2.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, of course, you're one of the guys in the community that is just an awesome guy, and it might sound corny, but it's an honor to have somebody like you on an episode of the rant.
Thank you.
All right, so that's about it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe as always, and I'll see you next time.